Death race is for sociopathic killers. You gotta have gravel in your guts. You have to live for the smell of motor oil and high-octane fuel. You gotta love the sound of rubber on asphalt and the taste of blood in your mouth. And when you go to sleep at night, I mean that deep REM sleep, the sound of bullets whizzing past your head should give you comfort. So, Mr. Strong and Silent, you made of that stuff.
Welcome to Now Playing Podcast's Death Race Retrospective Series.
Sure, it's violent, but that's the way we love it. Violent, violent, violent.
Hosted by Jakob.
Motherfucker's crazy, but cool.
Stuart.
You have the skills I require to keep the legend alive.
And Brock.
Whoever named your car the Bull was only half right.
But be warned, this episode will contain detailed plot spoilers and strong language.
You know what the Dalai Lama said about committees? Oh, that's right. He didn't talk about committees because he wasn't a pussy.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Sounds like the odds are stacked against us.
Then do what you do best. Drive.
Today we're talking about Death Race 2050, starring Manu Bennett, Malcolm McDowell, Marcy Miller, Burt Grinstead, Anessa Ramsey, Yancey Butler, directed by G.J. Echternkamp. This is Brock, co-host of Now Playing.
And Stuart. And when your DNA sleeps, it dreams of me. This is Jakob.
That was like the line of the movie.
Death Race. It made sense in the 70s. So many car movies in the 70s. There was a fertile ground for drive-in cinema, and Roger Corman was king of that kind of movie. But it's 2017. Why are they making a direct sequel to Death Race? I'll give you two guesses.
Money. And that's my two guesses, each syllable.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's the correct answer. But I would say the two answers are Hunger Games and Mad Max Fury Road, right?
Right.
In the mid part of that decade, dystopian and competitions where people kill each other is big time money making propositions. And Corman is still alive. He's well into his 80s. You know, he sold New World Pictures and he's not doing too much anymore, but he wants a piece of it. So he goes back to Universal and says, let's do a direct sequel. I already sold you the rights to Death Race a decade ago, and they've already made 3 pictures, Statham and some other dude. They already have 3 of them. We're going to be talking about it in the weeks ahead. This is different. Corman wants to make his, I don't know, what are we going to call this? Sequel, remake, redo, reboot?
I thought it was a sequel, being the year 2050, but 2050 looks a lot like 2000 to me. Like, I was shocked.
You've seen like direct to DVD video sequels that call themselves 2, but are just basically the same movie again.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what this is. It's kind of like it's the same movie again, just with different actors and a few different changes.
Requel is that term.
Requel? Okay.
Repeating the sequel, yes. A repeating sequel, a requel, maybe that's the name for it. Whatever it is, it's Corman for the first time having creative involvement in this. And good thing he sold it to Universal, because Universal has a whole wing dedicated to doing this to old hits. Universal 1440, we've talked about them a few times. They did all the Tremors sequels that we covered, a few of those last Chucky movies, Rob Zombie's Monsters. Anytime you hear about like, oh my God, they made a sequel to Backdraft, you know, Dragonheart.
It's these guys?
Kindergarten Cop 2, yes.
Oh no.
Scorpion King, the reason why there are 6 Scorpion Kings, the reason why we haven't done the Mummy yet, is because Universal Studios 1440 just sees a little bit of success in exploiting old titles.
You telling me there's a studio greedier than Corman?
Yeah, I think that he's found a new version of his old concept. And they're like, okay, yeah, we could make another Death Race, even though it's 2016 is when they get started on this. But again, make it fast, make it cheap. No one will talk about what the budget is, but I'm guessing 10 million, probably 15 million. Cheaper than your average sci-fi movie by tens of millions.
And my memory was, because I watched like the first 3 minutes of it back in 2017. It was on Netflix. I just assumed it was like a Netflix exclusive. Like, I'm like, oh, there's a Death Race sequel that just came out. It's got to be like, streaming. It seems like that's something they do as well. Like, let's find an old thing and adapt it or whatever. And so I watched this for 3 minutes and then I turned it off. And I only turned it off because like the family came home, and because this is a Death Race film, I assumed like probably shouldn't watch this around little kids.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
And so I turned it off, but it's kind of telling that I never did go back and finish it. Like, it just stayed at that 3 minute mark.
That means a lot. Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say if they did that to like Alien or something, I would finish it through, or at least finish it until I got angry. And you're telling me you didn't have an emotional reaction.
Yeah, I have always thought it was an emotional reaction, but no, it's just, I watched this, I'm like, oh no, just family came home and I knew there were going to be tits on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did offer to have my kids watch the first one with me, thinking that, maybe they'd find enjoyment in it. I hadn't seen it before.
Uh-oh.
And then, I'm lucky they said, no thanks, Dad. It's an old movie. Maybe one of the sequels. And then after watching that first one, I'm like, well, that's not going to be sitting down for family movie night with Death Race 2050, that's for sure.
Yeah, no.
You don't check the parental guide on IMDb? I always have to do that before I put a movie on.
I do, but it's 1975 movie about racing. I'm thinking Cannonball Run before I saw it, right? So
that's hilarious.
So how the hell am I supposed to know? Again, I was surprised he actually killed people until they started killing people, and then I understood what was going on because I had no idea about the movie. So now going into this one, I'm like, no, kids, I'll watch this one on my own. You guys go upstairs. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there is a way of, without being spoiler free, you can just look at the rating. And I think it would tell you that this is not for anyone under 17 or at this point, maybe anyone under 50. You have to remember the first movie in order to appreciate what they're going to do in this one. And the constraints were very similar. It should be said, they were told, I think they had a couple months to make it, not weeks, but it was like, knock it out quick.
Yeah, you know how I know this was knocked out quick and cheap? Because it's starring Malcolm McDowell, and I think that's all he does. Like, he did a Home Alone film you guys talked about. Like, he'll do anything.
Yeah, yes, it's been a long time since Kubrick, right? Like,
Yes.
We hold on to a Clockwork Orange, but he's not really that guy and hasn't been that guy in half a century, maybe.
Yeah, a long time. I mean, when he was in that Star Trek movie, we thought he was slumming it. Little did we know.
It was going to get so much worse.
So much worse.
In Tank Girls and what have you that he's done, some that we've seen, many that we wouldn't. Yes, they also couldn't film in LA because LA was February, January. They were experiencing, well, they call it winter. It makes me laugh.
A week of rain.
Yes, they felt like it wasn't the proper conditions to have all these people driving around. Yes, could be raining, not the sunny skies that they want. So they went to Peru.
They shot on actual streets?
Wait, in Peru?
They were actually, again, this was very important to Corman. We need to have real cars and real locations.
These are not real cars.
Oh, yes, they absolutely are.
No, they are not. They are golf carts with like fiberglass bodies over them.
Well, yes, we're splitting hairs here. They are not CGI creations with people sitting in a chair in a green screen room.
I wouldn't be able to tell because the shots are so tight on all the drivers. I never see these cars move.
I thought it was almost every shot was done. I remember a couple of shots on an actual road, Stuart. I remember a couple of shots of the cars from a far away kind of thing. But most of the time when the drivers are in their cockpits, if you will, of their cars, it's so tight and it looks like green screens behind them with a going fast road. I did not think they're on a road at all.
Yeah, I can't believe they made a big deal about shooting on location.
I'm telling you, the mandate was Corman is telling his lackey. We do have a in-name director, J.G. Echternkamp.
Who?
Someone that had made a Corman film already. He made something about video game characters coming to life called Virtual Warriors for Corman that no one saw.
Nope.
You know how Corman works. Oh, you made it for $5 and turned it in on time. I'll give you another one. So you get to make my Death Race. That's who this director is coming in here. But they really went to Peru. And there are shots. I mean, I do want to point out part of the benefit in South America, our winter is their summer.
Mm-hmm.
Seasonally, they just had, better weather conditions. But there's also large neighborhood-sized landfills. And so some of this trash in this post-apocalyptic world...
That's just location shots?
That we're literally just seeing the neighborhoods of Lima, Peru.
Literally just exploiting the poor there.
Yes, yes.
Well, okay. Well, that's a bonus, I guess.
Yes. And the pitch was Mad Max versus Rocky Horror Picture Show with no subtlety whatsoever. They want to keep that madcap spirit. They don't want to make this smarter or more Hunger Games or, none of that.
I got that loud and clear.
The spirit of 1975. And I want to ask about the wisdom of that, because I do feel like that kind of punky snark was something you called out, Jacob, as something that isn't really made anymore. So to try to manufacture that, however authentically, in 2016, 2017 is a tough ask for the filmmakers and the audience.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking politically, 2017, I don't want to get everyone all pissed off, but Trump's in presidency. You have people saying he's the punk rock president because, yes, he is that nihilist Frankenstein upending the system. And all the punks are like, no, that's not what we actually meant by our rebellion. So, yeah, this one definitely feels different trying to do those 70s politics, but it being during the Trump presidency.
Barely, though. I want to just say they started this before the election.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was shot before,
Malcolm McDowell's doing that here, not trying to reference Trump?
Well, they knew that Trump was running against Hillary, but Corman's comment was, politicians come and go. I don't want it to be too on the nose of any one particular person. But yes, some fashion choices were... they didn't know he won, again. And I don't know that you would think that he would win in the early part of 2016.
Well, there's the famous blooper of you, Stuart. So yes, not everyone thought he'd win.
Yeah, I mean, I know I didn't. Up until the very night, many people were very stunned that he pulled the upset that he did.
Okay, so they weren't referencing that, though.
No, this movie was not written as some kind of Trump rebuttal. And whatever Malcolm McDowell is doing is taking only part inspiration from presidential candidate Trump.
You can easily overlay that given what we know, but it certainly is an interesting tidbit of information. I read the same thing. I also thought Donald Trump a little bit. I'm going to say something which is going to sound insane, but it actually makes sense. I feel that the humor here, the punk rock aesthetic you think they're going for, I kind of got a raised eyebrow or a tongue in the cheek more than the first time. Even though there was humor, they were setting out for it. This one kind of, I didn't get that at all from this movie. That what you're saying is they wanted to get that aesthetic from 1975. What I'm getting is a wink and a nod and an elbow to the chest a little bit, and look how funny we can be with this absolutely crazy premise that's like the Hunger Games and Mad Max. That's what I got. I did not get that.
You think it's more contemporary than what we got in the 70s movie?
Oh, to me, this feels like they barely rewrote the script.
Yeah, I agree. They barely rewrote the script, but then there's the jokes and the way they did the special effects and how I felt they filmed the thing and the acting choices and the new characters replacing the old ones.
It's all worse.
It's, this bunch of bad decisions, but it seems to me that they're not trying to go for any sort of deeper level of commentary. In fact, they're going for spoof more than anything else.
I'd say deeper. They're going for the exact same depth. They are going for the exact same thing that they had, which is not in fashion anymore. If you go see Mad Max Fury Road, if you go see
Hunger Games,
Mockingjay, you're not going to get what Corman was doing in 1975.
I agree with you. And I just felt that this one was leaning into, look how funny we are, versus the other one that we watched last week, which was funny, but they weren't constantly saying, hey, look, this is funny. Hey, look, this is funny. Here's a funny joke.
Yeah, they're worse comedians in this one. I think that's why.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like, we talked a lot about Looney Tunes. Let's talk about it in general. How much of this is an innovation? How much of this is a recreation is where my mind is at.
Yeah, Stuart, give us a plot because I want to hear how much gets recycled.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's the year 2050, but things are looking very similar to the death race we saw in 2000. Only this time, Manu Bennett is subbing for Carradine as Frankenstein, the most popular of 5 racers traversing the American roads, looking to score pedestrian kill points in a 3-day race. And yes, he still wants to kill the leader of this dystopia, who is the chairman, now played by Malcolm McDowell, but only because he offhandedly insulted the guy's comb-over hairdo, and that was enough for the chairman to rig the race against Frankenstein in favor of another racer who is the genetically modified himbo, Jed Perfectus. And there are all new racers all around. There's a self-driving AI car named Abe who goes AWOL after his programming causes him to run over the person that programmed him. And there's an intense rivalry between a pop star named Minerva and a Texas religious this zealot named Tammy, and that ends with both of them going over a ravine and blowing up and killing each other. There's still a rebel group, this time led by Witchblade's Yancey Butler. She's playing Alexis Hamilton, who, again, very clever, who is always setting traps and giving Frankenstein a duplicitous navigator named Annie. Only this time, the difference is the rebels don't kill off any of the racers. They only end up killing themselves because they're klutzy. And Annie and Frankenstein fall in love. They kill Perfectus. They reach the finish line. They kill the Chancellor, all as we did last time. But instead of leading America into a new utopia, they just decide to let folks kill each other off. Because, see, in 2050, we're suffering from massive overpopulation due to the fact that they both cured cancer and nobody has a job anymore, so all they do is procreate and wear VR helmets and watch this race. So Frankenstein inspires everyone to go out there into the streets and begin dealing out death while he hangs back and screws Annie as credits roll.
We spoke first about the bad opening credits and then that terrible matte shot in last episode. This one, right away, there's a CGI opening shot that is right out of a video game. It's so bad, right off the top. So I'm thinking, okay, so it's many years later, they're doing 2050, but instead of having a really bad hand-drawn paint-by-number matte painting, you have a very basic CGI establishing shot of the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. That's the aesthetic they're trying to go for. I mean, sometimes you watch, like, the Lost in Space movie, and they take those chintzy, 60s show effects and really try to polish a turd and be like, wow, aren't we Star Wars? This is what I'm talking about. This movie is saying, we're keeping it quaint. 2050, and we're going to pretend like it's still 1975, and we're working for Corman for pennies. And I don't have a problem with that per se.
I don't have a problem with that in theory. Like, that sounds great. Do it cheap, keep it gritty, keep it real. Great. My problem is cheap CGI is worse than cheap practical effects. And that's where I'm going to bump up with this film is the use of green screen, those bad overhead shots of the cars driving around that feels like out of GTA 1 or 2 before they were 3D games. Like, I get it. You want to go cheap. I'm all for that. It's just aesthetically, it just comes off different than bad practical.
It does.
I agree completely. It doesn't come across cheap. It comes across lazy, and it comes across insufficient.
Well, more insufficient than last time.
Yeah, when Tammy the terrorist throws a bomb or sets a bomb in the stands and that explosion goes off and like there's a person like hunched over and there's just like fire stationary on their back and I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, I get what you're meaning. I just want to make sure I'm parsing out that for you, the problem is not that it looks cheap. The problem is that it looks artificially computer generated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If they had actually just rigged a couple of, firecrackers and the guy pretended he was dead, had a guy put on a flame suit and run out of the stands of some, local speedway.
Yeah, a couple seconds of a real burn and I'm all for it.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be better. Anyway, it'd be better than what we have here.
Again, would you be okay with that, Brock?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I saw a really bad fire effect and I saw some pretty bad chintzy CGI. And throughout the entire time, it was very hard to believe they were actually driving on a road. So it was very hard to think this was made anywhere but in front of a green screen.
But there are real cars. I mean, I really do want to stress, and that is a part of why I'm able to go with this aesthetic, is that they got, I think, styrofoam even, some of this. Not even particle board this time. But they had a production crew, locals in Peru, that they could go to and say, hey, we need a new car. And within 2 hours, they could grab from the trash bin, the extensive amounts of trash that they had in their backyard. They were able to put together things that are on wheels that I am calling real cars that, yes, are not street ready cars, but are go-karts, right?
Yeah, maybe go-karts. Here's my question for you then, Stuart, because you love those cars last time. They made them for you. In this film, like, a lot of this humor in the opening feels very similar to before.
Yes.
I'm kind of chuckling with some of the jokes. I could go with the bad CGI, but I cannot abide these cars. Do you like these cars? I can tell you about all the cars from the other film. This one, yeah, Frankenstein has like a green dragon thing, and that Abe, the AI car, is like a sleek bull. I can tell you Minerva, Tammy, Jed Perfectus, what their cars look like. They are not memorable.
Oh, I definitely can. And yes, I like the cars here. I still like the cars.
They were not memorable for me.
Yeah, Tammy's, she has a giant crucifix that is both a gun and can like skewer you. So she's religious. What gets established is she's like from Texas, but basically a fundamentalist terrorist, like a jihadist.
Yeah, death to non-believers and praise it to Elvis Presley.
And she's got this bobblehead of Marilyn Monroe, and she has all these quaint, folksy expressions. I think the announcer calls it a convoluted religion based on herself. She has some kind of self-mythology about white trash culture mixed in where we'll hear references to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the Bible.
She's so pop cultural oriented. Like, yeah, she's saying old phrases, but the celebrity thrown in. And I guess they don't want to do this. They want to keep this generic like the last one. But maybe in 2017, she hadn't quite hit her heights. But yeah, Tammy, I'm like, this would be a great spin on like Taylor Swift and like the fandom that she has as a pop star. But they don't really play with that. Yeah. Oh, you're a Christian terrorist. Okay. Like, that's what you got for me in this one?
Well, I don't think of Taylor Swift as being as redneck as what they're trying to go for. Maybe you would go with more like Britney Spears.
Maybe something like that, though. Yeah.
Jessica Simpson.
I think modernizing Tammy the Terrorist instead of having the Nazi made sense, right? Instead of having the machine gun guy, they have the Perfecto guy.
Yeah, and his car is the Sistine Chapel. The fresco of man touching God
right.
is, I think, him touching God. And we understand that he is genetically created in a lab and is supposed to be a perfect human specimen. He's obviously very ripped and takes any opportunity to flex his muscles. And again, what we will find out is he is jockeying to be the new favorite. Not unlike Stallone, he's number 2. If he could just get this Frankenstein out of the way, he'll be the one everyone's cheering for.
Right. And again, I want to ask, like, Stallone, not great in that film, but he's great for what he was doing. Yes, that's the bad guy I want to see get defeated. This Perfectus this feels more like a Nero the Hero. I thought he was going to go out pretty quick because, yeah, he's just the vain one. And I don't know, I was thinking maybe because this is a Corman production, so we're not getting real actors. The Death Race 2000 benefits from getting an actor right before he went big and a TV actor that kind of got some notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Homelander, if you've seen The Boys, that's on Amazon Prime. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, wow, this could be a great performance, but this actor is not doing it for me.
I mean, he's good enough. I mean, you get the gist. It's community theater level, mugging, but so is Stallone.
Yes, but the difference here is, and maybe because we all like Sylvester Stallone and other things, right?
You keep using we. I hate Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
Hate him.
Fine. The royal we, as in America, seems to enjoy...
I don't think America likes him. I actually think if you look at the box office, Europe likes him.
All right. So...
Someone likes him.
I'm just going to try to get my point anyway. So somehow Stallone became popular for 40 years, and so somebody liked him somewhere. 50 million Sylvester Stallone fans can't be wrong.
But they are.
But they are, apparently, to Stuart. And this guy here, as the movie goes on, I grew tired of his shenanigans. Whereas with Stallone...
He just whines the whole time.
With Stallone, he kind of played the same things over and over again, but it was dependable, and it got the point across, and he got the job done. Here, this guy lasted too long for me. I was hoping he would die earlier because he was getting more and more grating and annoying, and there is definitely something there with this idea, and I thought it was a great idea to replace Stallone's character with this kind of character. It just didn't play. Like when you have Minerva, who looks like Grace Jones to me, and they do some clever stuff with her throughout the movie, right? So they find a way to make her more than just a stereotype, an urban stereotype, and it was kind of fun. You see what I'm getting at?
And you say you want a star that this movie doesn't have the benefit of someone coming out of it. She is that person. I don't know if you'd call her a big star,
right?
But Folake Olofoyeko, I think I got that sort of close.
Yes.
She is currently on a sitcom, Aoshoba Hearts Bob or something like that. I don't know. I don't watch network television, but she is right now can be seen on a network sitcom as its star. So
how wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
And she is the one that kind of got me to chuckle during all their entrances. The fact that, she's famous because of a sex tape, like that feels relevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
That she's got her silly little kill, drive, kill the white people, drive. Like, I don't know. That one was silly enough that I really went with her.
I think you guys are splitting hairs by saying they don't have what the original crew has. They have exactly what the original crew has.
Here's my complaints. Jed is no Machine Gun Joe.
Right.
I mean, you could say that.
And the cars are not very memorable.
I had the same note.
The car's cool, but Minerva has a car that's full of bedazzled speakers. They got pink little, like, the Bezazzler, right? Like, the stupid thing.
Yeah, I know that.
Like, there's that one thing where the guy jumps on it and the speaker's so loud it blows his head off, like, literally.
Yeah, it was very funny.
That's how I know she has a speaker. It has a good death scene.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right. And she's a pop star. The difference is it would obviously be more fun if they had Nicki Minaj or someone that actually was from the music world to sort of authenticate the idea that this is a pop star who has turned to death-defying auto racing to expand her audience.
Well, look, I think what I'm trying to get at, Stuart, is I think that the replacement characters here are all the right choices. And the last car we even talked about is the all-AI car, self-driving car.
You gotta love that.
It's a really great idea.
You gotta do that, yeah.
I like, they kept Frankenstein, but the other 4 are updates to these characters, and I think they made the absolute 100% right choices of who to spoof or what to do, but the execution on some of this is not the same as the last time, is where I'm getting hung up on it.
Yeah, just checking in. This is a movie that I turned off after 3 minutes and was not compelled to come back to. As I'm sitting here during this intro scene, I've got my complaints, but overall I'm like, they're hitting the same jokes. I'm kind of chuckling along. They're doing the same thing. I thought this was going to be a sequel, but it seems like it's just a remake, but I'm not having a bad time at this point as we're getting introduced to all the racers. I'm like, this is more or less working on the same level as the original.
So far.
Honestly, I think if people are going to have a problem with this, they're not going to want the original either. They're just not going to like this kind of comedy, this sort of crassness. It's just out of fashion, I guess is what I would say. That what they're doing is not something that I see done except on really low budgets with no-namers anymore. Like, I don't know. People can write in and tell us, do they still like Death Race 2000? 2050 is more or less doing a pretty good equivalency. I don't see that there's a huge drop. Yeah, the CGI is kind of irritating. I hear your complaints, but splitting hairs. It more or less is the same for me. This is the same setup, and it's a remake. What is surprising to me is I kept hearing the word sequel.
Yes.
But in fact, they are just almost beat for beat repeating what they did before with this new cast that you're telling me you don't like as much.
I'm saying there's some weaknesses. At this point, again, at the beginning here, I'm more or less going along with this film. And yeah, we're going to get the introduction of Frankenstein. He's got I don't understand the mask. It like has a goatee or something coming down. It like covers his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be clear too, Stuart. Again, I think they made all the right choices in updating this remake with these different characters. I think right now, going into it, the CGI is pissing me off, but they're making some funny gags. They have the right characters. Some of these one-liners or throwaway gags are actually working for me. The whole virtual reality thing at this point is, I'm like, oh, good for them throwing this in. There's a whole bunch of things that, especially in 2017, when this was made, that are topical enough humor that is an update. So I don't think it's all rehashed. For right now, I'm fine, Stuart.
No, I hear the but. I hear the but quite clearly. You don't like the movie is how you led with this. You're like, this is trash. It looks bad.
Yes.
And what you're getting is to your in thoughts. I'm just going to offer that I feel like I'm not experiencing the two movies as being that dissimilar, ultimately. And I might even argue that the new dude is cooler than David Carradine.
Okay, now we're going to have a huge disagreement because here's what torpedoes the film. But before we get into Frankenstein, I do want to say, Stuart, sometimes I feel like if it's a genre that you're not that invested in, you're just like, yeah, it's all the same to me. And there are nuances that you don't appreciate or you don't pick up on. Like,
sure,
I do feel there's a difference between this and 2000.
I'm inviting both of you to tell me what I missed.
Well, we'll talk about it as we go.
Because I see the same meal.
Okay.
I see an updated version of the meal, and we'll see if that update is better or worse overall in aggregate as we nitpick this thing apart.
Manu Bennett is apparently, he was on the TV show Spartacus. You wouldn't recognize him from Hobbit because he had like a mocap suit. Like he's a villain. He looked like an orc or whatever.
He's got the personality of an orc in this.
Yeah, you don't like him. I actually think he's a pretty cool.
Wow. If this is how you experienced David Carradine in that last film, I don't know how you recommended it, because this Frankenstein, like, they start the race and there's this whole thing with VR helmets and the navigators are like filming them at all times. And he just pulls the mask off and it's like, whatever. And the president's mad. And it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to take the mask off because it itches. And like, what? Like, there's no secret here. You're just on TV now. I don't like this Frankenstein.
He didn't remember that. I actually feel like that was something he didn't process in his head. He didn't want a navigator there. He makes it very clear that she's taking up space. He doesn't even want anybody in that seat. And he, I think, forgot. I think this is the first year that they actually have the ability to turn on, like...
It is.
A GoPro. And, like, he thought he was just taking off his mask and showing his navigator.
But this is what upsets the president. He's like, he took his mask off. He's got to go.
Yeah, right. That's part of it. Yes, that he hurts the brand. What we're talking about is humor. That is a joke. What is funny about that, if I have to explain the comedy...
You do, because I wasn't laughing during that.
Well, that they have a certain idea of how to market this and this guy being exposed. Think of it in terms of silent movies going sound. There were a whole series of actors that were very popular, and then sound comes along and we find out they have squeaky voices and they lose their cool, and that's what happens. This guy doesn't look like what we were selling. We need to go with the genetically modified himbo.
I don't know. They would have had to play that up a lot more, really sell him as something else, and then he's just the total opposite when he accidentally, you're saying, takes that mask off. Like,
he calls it out.
No. He purposely takes it off because it's itchy and forgot that she was filming everything he was doing and that millions of people, you could forget this, but like, this is the new ripple of this entire setup, is that we've established this family in Beverly Hills who is putting on the VR set because they can't stand to look at each other. And they're actually feeling like they're in the cockpit. We actually understand the optics now, that they are having a virtual reality experience.
Yeah, that feels like there should be a way bigger buildup than to, oh, I just revealed myself to everyone on VR. That just, it feels like it just goes away, and I don't even know why it's in here.
He calls it out as a gimmick. His line was, it's just a gimmick, and it's just really itchy.
Yeah.
So it was a joke.
Yeah, but why does he do it this time then? He's a 4-time winner. Maybe this is a different one every time, like the last film.
I think he does this every race. I think every race, as soon as they get away from the stands, take off this stupid mask. Oh, I hate doing this.
And this is the first time it's filmed.
By the way, David Carradine did that as well. I mean, David Carradine did not keep that mask on while he was driving around.
Yeah, but there was no cameras around.
And he didn't think there was a camera either. That is the point.
Okay.
Is that he didn't realize that he had just blown the whole, who am I?
It doesn't feel like that big of a moment then. It should feel bigger.
Okay, I mean, that's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, if you have some, I don't know a whole lot about like WWF, but like some mask character and that mask finally comes off at some point, like that's a huge deal.
Kiss, when they took off their makeup, they lost their popularity.
Sure.
The gimmick was that they looked like cats and, you know, their tongues bled and all of that crap. And when you just find out that they're just wrinkled middle-aged men, well, okay. Kids don't want it anymore. And so they want something perfect looking, like Perfectus. And I also think that this chairman is thin-skinned. It's not just you took off the mask. He's mad about that. But then as they proceed, we have Annie asking him questions. She is, I guess, a wartime correspondent. She wants to, you know, dig into the story here, and he's giving one-word responses, and in blowing her off, he ends up making a joke about the comb-over. And because the chairman is so thin-skinned, I actually think that is the reason why, that's why I put it in the plot summary, that's the reason why he's like, okay, this guy has got to go. I didn't like that he blew the mask, but if he's going to insult me and my haircut, I'm going to kill him off.
So you mentioned a scene right there that helps me like this character of Frankenstein, this interpretation of the character. When she's asking him these yes or no questions, he flat out tells her, you know, you're not a very good interviewer. And she gets all offended by it. He explains to her, ask open-ended questions. When I was working in retail, that was my college job, I was working in retail. And the first thing they told us was open-ended questions. Never ask a yes or no question to somebody. They're always going to say no to you. But if you ask open-ended questions, you can start talking to them and they actually may want to accept your help so you can help them. And that's the idea. And I thought it was pretty humorous that this guy is supposed to be like, you know, an idiot racer, quote unquote, you know, the Frankenstein, he's so mysterious. You know, he has a point of view and he's telling this woman who's supposed to be his intellectual superior, quote unquote, that you're an idiot. And it was kind of fun. Like he actually added something to this character who could have been a complete exact carbon copy of what David Carradine did last time.
Yeah, agreed.
But he actually added something to it. I actually liked this guy. I actually cared this guy.
Okay, then you're in agreement with me. I actually think it's helpful to have someone that is, a little bit more curmudgeonly, I guess is the way I would put it. I mean, David Carradine was just dialed down and hated everyone. And this guy just resents the pageantry that he's asked to do. This is a stupid job. I think that I have to look like a clown to do all of this. And I guess the reason why it isn't a bigger moment is because he is ready to, maybe I'm bringing that from the other movie, but it does feel like he's done with death racing. And that the only reason why he does it at all is because it's the only thing he's good at. He needs to find a sense of purpose that maybe he does on this mission.
In a way, this does feel much more like that James Caan rollerball. If you've seen that, it's like he's just the most macho athlete, and he just wants to be a macho man and be the best macho guy there is, and the government just won't let him be. And this does feel much more like that James Caan character. He's like, I just want to be a race and be a tough guy, and I want everyone to just be tough guys and race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we have lots of repeats of the same skits. All the skits we talked about.
I couldn't believe they're doing the exact same skits.
Right.
Well, but they're tweaked. So instead of going to a hospital where they put the infirmed out there, they're going to Bieber Elementary, where students that aren't scoring so well on tests are going to be, that's kind of funny, right? Like test scores that became such a thing in the 2000s of how schools got money. That feels like the right joke to go for.
I'll be honest, I would have probably thought this was super funny if I hadn't seen the original. To me now, it just feels like,
right,
you're telling the same joke. I went to go see the same comedian and he's telling the same joke, even though it's two different nights. Change it up. Yeah, you could say it's different because it's a school, but it's the same thing.
This particular joke is basically the same thing. It has the same bones, but the Bieber Elementary thing is a different kind of humor. They throw in a whole bunch of those things throughout the movie.
There's a sight gag that I will praise later on. There are some good sight gags in here.
Yeah, Biscuit Planet used to be West Virginia. They keep doing jokes like, this is this weird name, and this is where it used to be in the country.
Yeah, it's not America as we know it. They've renamed all the cities.
Right. They're doing not Naked Gun, but they're doing more could it be Epic Movie? They're doing some kind of movie kind of humor of this is topical now. We're going to throw a joke out for you. If you pick it up, you catch it. Great. If you don't see it, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I was really frustrated. Yeah, they come up with all these different names for the cities. Upper Shitfield for Baltimore. And I thought, you're going to introduce what we didn't get in the last film. Those stereotypes about different parts of the country and have the racers interact with them. And I quickly stopped writing down all the city names because that's never going to happen. That's, I guess, just a joke there to see a funny name.
They're just jokes.
Yeah.
I'm hearing complaint that they didn't work too hard about making a new experience. This is not a sequel. I want to underline and stress that. But if you were just remaking it...
It's a straight up remake.
What are we talking about? It's been 40 years? 30 years?
Yeah, it's been about 40 years, right? Because 2015 would be 40, right? So it's 42 years. Maybe.
Yeah. You could do that, right? The problem I heard you say is I love the original too much to see it replayed again to this effect.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's the same jokes. It's
yeah,
seeing the same comedian too close together. And I'm I laughed the first night. I'm not laughing this night because I already know the punchline. I already know that he's not going to hit the kids and he's going to go for the parents instead. So it's not funny this time.
But this time he adds in a joke of wheelchairs scratch up the paint on my car, even though he runs over other people.
That was good. I chuckled at that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, what's making me go along here, Stuart, I'm not upset it's the same exact movie. I kind of expected that, as I told you earlier in this conversation, that if it's a direct-to-video sequel, they say it's a sequel, it's pretty much a remake, right? What they do is they modernize it. So what they did here with the modernizations is they added in these jokes that were not in there. The VR stuff is all new. The AI car, all those jokes are kind of new. These one-liner throwaways later on, she's kind of a penis pulverizer 3000. She puts up her coochie. They try to bite off Frankenstein's dick. There's a whole bunch of those kinds of broad humor jokes that they're throwing in here that could have been, if it was a smarter written movie, as Jacob just mentioned, they could have done a whole bunch of commentary about different parts of America, things like that, but they're willing to go for really quick, stupid kind of gags. I got a Steve Martin vibe off of Malcolm McDowell as much as I got off a Donald Trump vibe from him. They're trying to go off this kind of silliness that seems to be smarter than they actually are, and it's not completely playing. That's all.
But here's what I would say. You could also level that complaint against the original. It was also throwing everything at the wall, and only some of it was funny.
There's a huge difference too, though, Stuart. What did I say last time was what really kept me going throughout the lulls and the parts I didn't enjoy was the driving on the roads, and I was enjoying all that stuff. And the driving in this thing, absolutely terrible. And you're telling me they're on location doing all those driving shots? I do not believe you. I cannot believe that they're actually in a car for more than maybe 2 or 3 shots total in this movie.
The green screen is so bad.
So obvious and so bad.
And the shots are so tight. This is why I don't remember the cars, because it's always just tight on the driver.
Yeah.
It was really hard to get involved in this movie because I didn't feel they were actually driving at all. It felt like 2 people in chairs in front of a screen doing a play. It didn't even feel like a movie.
Sometimes. And again, maybe I'm colored by the fact that I had to watch bonus materials on a disc that showed me them actually filming these scenes and when it was moving.
You saw the cars actually move.
You were punked, man. They made that just for the DVD. That's not the movie. You know, they spent $100 to that.
They could have. You're now making me think that that was exactly what they did, was that they created fake driving to make me believe I was watching it all the time.
They actually do that for extras where they hide like CGI things because they want to claim it's practical. Yes.
It's a very Corman thing to do because it kind of worked. In my mind, I felt like I was watching these actors in cars that moved around because I know I saw it.
I never felt they were in a car.
I watched the actor get in the car and explain the car and then drive around in it.
They tricked you.
I might have tricked me. Whatever. I also just think the cars are more fun. I particularly, anyone that has seen footage lately from San Francisco of all the trouble that they're having with these driverless cars that are getting stuck in the roads and hitting medians and, you know, just like, this is ahead of that curve. Like the fact that this AI car, Abe, is going to have this moment. We have rebels again. It should be said they aren't, God, what was it? Thomasina Payne. It's Alexis Hamilton.
Hamilton's the big play on Broadway right now, so it's Hamilton.
Yes, whatever. But again, one's no more funny than the other.
No, I agree.
It's both a dumb pun that's worthy of 3rd grade. And then, yes, so they're sending rebels out and they corner this AI car. And yes, he happens to be pleasuring its programmer at the time. He decides not only to run over them for points, but he runs over his own creator and kind of like Hal 2001 style. He drops out of the race and becomes demented.
Yeah, he's going to have an existential crisis. Like his AI face is going to blow up at one point. I'm like, wait, is that their proxy for an explosion in this movie? Did the car blow up or is that just a computer graphic?
I thought the car having identity crisis was one of the funniest gags in the bit. I thought it was really fun, and they brought it back after you thought he was gone for the movie. They bring him back late in the movie, and he has another one of those crises, and it's just really, I just really enjoyed that.
The setups are funny, and then I see what they do with Abe and the payoff, and I'm like, wait, that's it? His existential crisis ends there? Okay. But the setup's good. I like that he's just driving around. Again, though, like you see him in Utah, and I'm like, okay, yeah, do some polygamy joke or something. Like, I just, like, why show these names and everything? I guess it's a Corman production, and
I thought some of them were funny. When they talk about what was a good one? One that made me smile broader than most. When they said, I think they called it the Appalachian Desert or Kentucky's former lumberyard.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good. That's pretty smart. A joke on deforestation. I'm not going to, like, give it an Oscar. Maybe it is kind of like an epic movie, scary movie, throw everything kind of gag. But not everything in Naked Gun works either. I mean, you have to be willing to hear unfunny things to appreciate the funny things. I think that you have to be a little bit generous with the comedy, and I'm trying because I felt like I already was giving to the whole franchise here. That original, to me, wasn't uproarious, brilliant satire, but it had some good bits. I just want to say I think there are good bits here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think either Brock or myself have disagreed with you that there's not good bits. But it's hitting different.
I felt I was hearing very early on, this movie is not doing it. And I'm saying it is. It's doing exactly the same thing. Maybe that's a problem, but it's doing the same thing.
Once they hit the road and meet Frankenstein is where it starts going down for me. I was enjoying it up until that point, and seeing the bad green screen and this boring Frank. Yeah, my excitement is going down. There's still things, I'm still chuckling. There's jokes here and there.
Is that after night one, or is that the second day? Because I feel like they set him up early on is that he's demasked and insulting the chairman. And now when we cut to night one, we see the chairman talking to the job creators. And these are people that hire like 12 people because nobody has jobs.
Yeah, no, this is stuff that's new. And I thought, okay, we're going to get into maybe some actual politics here. Yeah, the fact that, 99.9% of the earth is unemployed. And yeah, it's like a luxury to actually have a job. Like, I thought there were some good ideas here, but...
No, it goes somewhere. I mean, you guys are, I don't know, you're ungenerous. Like, the joke is we want to sell this, like, essentially a gay icon. This guy that is all buff and is so self-absorbed, he can't even get aroused by women. And we want a planet that is having problem overpopulating. We want to sell him as the hero because we want people to stop screwing each other. That, to me, is a certain level of clever that is at least as good as what they were doing in 75. And probably a little bit smarter. Probably a little bit more on point.
No, they actually do introduce some kind of political commentary. That's what I'm trying to say. They hint at it.
You should be praising that. I hear praising but.
I guess that's the difference between us is, oh, you gave me a taste. I want more, sir. And you're like, yeah, no, this is great. I'm enjoying this meal. And I'm like, no, this is the start. This is the first course. Now where's the main thing?
I would say that about both. I would say neither Death Race is great. And I think the difference is you think the original is great and you're having problems with this one. And to me, they're both kind of treading in the same waters. They're both really delivering. I think the challenge of 2050 is how do we retell the same jokes with the twist that is relevant to 2016, 2017.
And some of the stuff they updated works for me. And if you remember, I gave a very, very weak recommend to the last movie. And I highlighted what I did and did not like about that movie and why it didn't completely work for me, but it wasn't a complete failure for me. The difference is here, Stuart, is that I like the gags in the last one. I like some of these new ones especially. Some of the rehashes ones are give or take, whatever. I don't really care. But there's two things in this movie that I really do like that we haven't talked about yet. But the majority of it, which I'm disappointed with, is that I'm not getting the driving movie at all. And so if the movie's relying on just these characters because the driving isn't giving it to me, I'm being disappointed. And that's what that is.
Okay, but I would just say, like, night one, I feel like that stuff, the stuff that slowed down, the Carradine is going to act and play off Annie stuff, is a little bit better. You know, we're at the 3 Seasons Hotel because winter is just a myth.
That's a great joke, yes.
That's a funny joke.
Yeah, I'm telling you, give this movie its props. It is better than its IMDb score would have you believe. It is not shit.
No, Stuart, there is a scene coming up where I'm going to rave about this film, but I'm kind of like where you are, Brock. It's if you're coming here for the car stuff, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I like the actual cars. I will grant you we don't see too many stunts in them.
The bit when Annie's bad at seduction, that went on a little too long, but I thought it was enjoyable that she was just really bad at seduction. That was kind of fun. That kind of felt like a scary movie kind of scene to me, but I went along with it. The thing with Perfectus making the girl pretend to have sex because I'm interested, that is when that character jumped the shark for me. Like, after that, I found very little of what he was doing enjoyable or different because they had nowhere else to go with that guy after that. They had the harpoon gun stuff, which was a lot of fun. They actually used the harpoon gun stuff.
Well, yeah, innuendo. It's gay innuendo. Like, I'm going to ram you, and he's...
Right, all that stuff.
He's got a protein shake that dribbles down his chin in a way that makes you think of something else.
Right.
So, yes, that's the joke that they've got for that.
It just gets played out. Like, they do it so much, and it's not, after a while, I'm like, okay, I got that gag. Give me something different or new, but they keep hitting that same note in the keyboard the whole time. The one thing here, surprisingly, was one of our bigger complaints last movie, and it starts with day 2, is that Annie, I find that actress is much better than the other actress playing Annie. I actually liked a lot more of what she was doing.
Yes.
Her choices were better. She's the strongest actor in this movie, although I did like Minerva very, very much.
Agreed. They're the two best.
In their scene together, thank God they gave them a scene together because the screen really lit up. But she was really, really good in this movie, and I want to give her, she kept me interested. Last time it was Frankenstein who kept me grounded and interested. Here, Annie is providing that for me throughout the movie.
Yeah, an actress that had worked, I guess, extensively in Days of Our Lives. She was a soap star.
Who knew?
That experience matters. I mean, again, I think if you have a certain level of comfortability in front of the camera, you're better off than half the people in that 2000 movie. Yeah, I feel like all the performances are more natural. And yes, some of them are funnier than others. Perfectus is a rather obvious joke. But again, if your problem is overpopulation, trying to sell people narcissism as a supplicant for it is kind of funny. I mean, you can either dwell on it if you want, or you can just zip along. I think that this movie, it's about 10 minutes longer, but it has as much going on or more. I don't feel like pacing is more problematic here. Do you guys disagree?
I feel it in the pace just because I don't care about the car stuff as much. So all of that stuff, like I get to the end of this, I'm like feeling that extra 10 minutes. I'm like, hurry it up and end it.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, if you want me to get mad, I'll get mad. There's no plane. There's no good, like, cars flying over the cliff and exploding.
No.
We don't have that stuff. They try on their budget, whatever it is. And yes, they look like golf carts that have been pimped out and, pushed around and sped up. And yes, there is too much green screen for me to love the car stuff the way that I loved it. I guess I'm still holding on to the idea of at least there are actors sitting in funny looking cars that kill people in funny little ways.
But some of the most memorable action scenes in this movie are not the car chases and the car crashes, although there is a couple of those. It's ninjas in cornfields and guys wearing dynamite vests. Like wacky, crazy shit that's nothing to do with driving. It doesn't have anything to do with the premise of the movie.
Well, I mean, the premise of there's a religious zealotry going on. I mean, like, if you accept that Tammy is a terrorist, that she's sending people in with suicide vests, I mean, maybe that's not funny in post 9/11 America, or maybe if you have a dark sensibility, it is.
I wanted this to go further. You get this scene when they're going through, again, Walmart land, whatever Arkansas is called at this point.
Walmartinique.
Okay. And yeah, Minerva is doing her rap to get people. I guess she's trying to lure the white people by saying she wants to kill them. And yeah, she's, a black rapper, like obvious racial tension. And she just ends up like driving away. And I want these drivers to be the worst. Like, if you don't want her just shooting random white people, if that's too racially tense, put them in KKK hoods. It's Arkansas. Yeah, that's the kind of low bar humor I would expect. And it just feels weird to have these drivers scared of people and running away from their guns.
Just the setup was when she was in urban places, she could play her song and people would run out into the streets and lay down. They want their death to be her points, and Tammy would swoop in there and steal them.
Right.
And that has been the rivalry that is set up for day 2. So when Tammy has all her zealots laying down to give her points, Minerva comes back and takes them. That's what I see happening. But yes, the song is just not playing on redneck radio.
But there's a whole thing where she's going after redneck specifically.
This is before Beyonce's country album, right? Like, there's a hard distinction between, her Minerva's music and what the hillbillies want. So she's trying to remix it with banjos. The boys are coming to the yard to fire at her. They're not coming to the yard to lay down and be her points.
Right. That was the redneck, the deliverance type redneck people, right?
Yeah. To me, it's good enough. I mean, that's as good as the rivalry between the cowgirl and the Nazi last time.
I think it's funny that when she went there that she couldn't get a kill and that kind of the tables were turned. It was kind of a funny idea. I think they could have explored that a little bit more, but I got what they were going for. I don't think the joke landed as intended. That's all. They could have gone a little bit bigger there. I agree with Jacob on that, but I got what they were going for sure.
And I did watch deleted scenes. We have less of her sidekick. Her navigator is this sort of club DJ named Chai Wap. And you were supposed to understand he was always popping club drugs. So that when the suicide vests get him and his last words are, "I don't want to die sober," that would have more impact because you had seen him getting high so much. But
oh, yeah, it didn't play.
I don't know that would have saved it.
Over my head.
When he's running away, though, whatever was in his head or his hair was like getting in his face. I thought that was really funny that his choices of hairstyle or whatever he was wearing, was it a bandana or something? It was not helpful for him to get away. It was just really funny to me that it got in the way that way. I kind of liked that. One thing I will give props for is, except for Perfectus and Frankenstein and Annie, you really didn't know who was going to die when and who was going to survive. And that was kind of neat.
Correct.
I kind of like that. Unfortunately, by the time everybody died, I was over the movie. But I was really hoping during the whole time that they would kill Tammy out of the blue. I thought they got Abe out of the movie at the perfect time. I thought that joke played out, and then they brought him back at the end. That was the only thing that I thought, like, okay, here we go. Abe is out. Great. Who's next? Let's get going. Like, knock him off.
And that's better than the original. The original, the setups are obvious. You know at the beginning of the scene what's going to happen at the end of the scene, and you're just waiting in anticipation to watch, the picnic baby explode or whatever. And here, I agree. People just aren't dropping at the same rate. And that's the surprise, because last time, set them up, knock them down, set them up, knock them down. And it feels a little bit, dare I say, more sophisticated. I feel like this writer-director, he just makes weird jokes. At one point, there's a kitten playing with a moth in the road.
Yes!
And they make a save the cat joke, which is a screenwriting saw. That's something only writers are going to get. I feel like they break the fourth wall and they do things that are a little bit more clever than what was attempted with 2000.
Well, I'll say this again. I don't agree with you when it comes to the driving, but yes, some of the humor, some of the jokes. For example, when they get to Checkpoint 2, the second night, there is this scene with Annie and Minerva in, I guess, the bar at the hotel, and it's called Bechdel's bar.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know about the Bechdel test.
Yep.
I do.
Like, this used to be a big thing before, like, I don't know, things became woke. Like, this is what conservatives would go after, is this idea of the Bechdel test, which is like this super low bar.
Conservatives go after this?
Oh, yeah, they're like, how dare they say that women can't be in love with a man? And I'm like, dude, it's just like they have to have one scene where two women talk and don't discuss a man. Like, that's the lowest bar. Like, so many films can't pass that, but they put Bechdel's bar. And like, I'm like, oh, the conversation better pass the Bechdel test. And it does. Like, I thought this was, a funny inside joke.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I mean about fourth wall breaking. Like, that is a level of sophistication. How many people that are watching exploitation flicks in the 1970s would know about some obscure playwright, cartoonist thought on what should be in genre? No, I'm going to use the word smarter. I feel like this script is smarter than the last time.
Don't oversell it. This is one joke. Like, I don't want to oversell it too much.
I don't want to oversell it either, because it's not that smart. And I want to be clear here. By saying that it's as good as last time is not saying that it's great. It's just saying that it's keeping up. It's keeping pace for me. It's about the same experience.
I think also part of this scene was Minerva said something to the effect, she's not doing a character. She's talking differently with Annie at the bar.
Yeah, she's from upper rich parents. Yeah.
She talks about how her parents were professors, and what I'm trying to get at is that she also talks about how this is all a show, just like Frankenstein did. It's the same comment he made earlier, but here it's better demonstrated, it's better put across, is that she understands what's going on when the cameras are on versus when they're not on. And it's kind of that kind of, if you want to call it smarter writing, is peppered out throughout here, Stuart, but the execution of all of those ideas don't always pay off or feel satisfying. And this one scene here, I think, is a highlight of the movie. These two actresses doing a wonderful, great scene about their characters staying in character and behind the scenes, the stuff we're not seeing in the rest of the race. They're giving time for character development, if you will, for this movie in this scene.
Yeah, as far as acting goes, like, this is definitely the best scene. And this is where, like, I'm like, I wish this movie was about Minerva. Like, I care about her more.
Yes.
It almost feels like if you saw American Fiction last year, like, oh, you're black, so you got to put on this act, which she does. And, like, I'm like, oh, I just want this story now. Like, I want to see this payoff. I guess that's the difference, Stuart, is, like, I see a little thing like that and it excites me so much. I get disappointed when, like, it doesn't go there more. And, like, I really like this development, but this isn't what the movie is.
But to say that you saw something good and they didn't do enough of it doesn't explain to me why you think it's going badly.
It's the missed opportunity and disappointments. They show signs of greatness. They have jokes about modern day stuff and they just throw them away as opposed to really exploring them deeper.
Yeah.
They have all these little ideas that really could be a seed that grows into something better, but they're just content being seeds.
Right.
Death Race 2000 is always a cartoon. It is always Looney Tunes. This actually shows aspirations to be a little bit smarter, and then I get disappointed when it's not.
Agreed.
Okay, but I guess what I would offer is, so it's not great doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, because it didn't achieve its potential is not to say that, like, well, then I can't go with this. Yeah, I agree. I wish this were better. I'm trying to stay positive and say I came into this movie thinking it was going to be a real stinker. I saw the IMDb score. It's like 3. Nothing gets a 3. That's like one of the worst, like, lowest rated movies I've ever seen.
Oh, see, I didn't know that at all.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, and there's nothing, no one's ever talked about this movie, and like, I just assumed it would just be torturous to get through. And I'm not having that experience at all. I'm finding the problems that you guys are, but I am mostly relieved at how few potholes are in this road.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of seeing the same thing. It's just
Yes.
different reactions. You're relieved it's not total crap, and I'm disappointed it's not as good.
It's not garbage. Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
And I'm disappointed because there's not what I really want to see, but what they are showing me is just, oh, wow, you could be that? Oh, okay, you're not going to be that either. Oh, wait, you're not going to do that either. So, like, it's every time I get excited about what they're going to do, they just don't.
It just gets dropped.
Yeah, just totally by the wayside.
Yeah, they throw away all their ideas and they don't have enough money, not unlike the last time. I mean, I had those issues about why isn't he scarred up? Why wouldn't they make this choice? Why not explore that? That movie was ramshackle in 76 as well. So if you're willing to give the first one a pass, I don't know why you can't give this a pass.
Well, that's what we're talking about, Stuart, because there's reasons that I can't.
Find out by the end.
The only concrete thing you've given me is the cars are shitty. That's the only thing that I understand. The car driving is not the same fun. And I agree.
Yes, given other examples on what we're disappointed about in this movie.
You've disappointed that they didn't do more with the joke, not that they told bad jokes.
I have said that I found some humorous things when things are brought up that we've talked about for the past half hour about, well, this was funny, that's a funny gag. Yeah, there are funny gags once again.
Mm-hmm.
What's different here is that there's also nothing else there to look forward to. So it's one gag to the next, one gag to the next, but the gags aren't going anywhere and they're not funny enough to be throwaways. So like we brought up the Naked Gun earlier, right? And you said not every joke hits there, but the jokes in like in Airplane and Naked Gun and those kinds of Zucker and Abrams movies, the jokes were so fast that if that two didn't hit you, the third one would get you. This one, there's lulls in between, but there's also something different. Some of the stuff here is almost borderline commentary or subversive humor that they can't do anything with or don't do anything with or choose not to do anything with. And they throw all their eggs into the perfectus bucket where Jacob and I might be saying, and maybe you're seeing too, Stuart, that they actually have clever ideas about how to spoof modern day in 2050, but modern day being 2017. And they're just content on making scary movie jokes instead of really giving us something meaty. They have more going for it and they don't realize it. And so I get excited, they disappoint me. And because I'm keeping disappointed by the potential that they're not following through on, I can't even enjoy the race because the race isn't a race. It's a guy in front of a green screen. So everything that the last movie is here except for an interesting race or an idea of these characters aren't interesting enough to just have them be them. The people who we want to talk to, the people we want to see are Annie and Minerva, and they keep focusing on Frankenstein and Perfectus, and it's not doing it for me. That's all. It's just disappointment at the potential that's constantly brought up and not paid off. That's what I'm trying to get.
I guess it's sacrilegious, but I feel like this Frankenstein is more interesting than Carradine.
I don't know how you get that. I hated this Frankenstein.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Perfectus, again, he's just as stupid as Stallone. And here they have their fight. We get another one. This one with the obvious Rocky Horror Picture Show referencing. He's doing it in the gold lame underwear.
Yes.
That Rocky, the character, wears. The one that works out so much in that one. Yeah, they have a pillow fight instead.
Well, it's also should be noticed, Stuart, that in that movie, too, he was created just like Perfectus was. So it's basically the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're definitely playing off Rocky a little bit if people get the joke, if people get the reference in 2017. I'm not sure how popular the Rocky Horror Picture Show was in 2017 for the younger audience like it was when we were younger. I just don't know.
Yeah. Probably more popular than Death Race 2000, but,
Might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, the point is we have another bad fight, but at least they're acknowledging it's a bad fight because it's a pillow fight. And then we're off to day 3. We're here at the climax, and it's more or less the same story, except, again, I think it's interesting that the rebels didn't kill any of these people, that it ends up being Minerva and Tammy killing each other. But Minerva just kind of turns around and decides, I'm going to play chicken. And because the navigator for Tammy isn't a zealot, isn't a suicide bomber, he swerves out of the way. She makes him get out and blow up with a bomb.
Yeah, it's kind of a shock that the resistance has nothing to do here because they set up this whole thing, rule change. You got to go along the approved highways if you want government protection from the rebels. And so I'm like, oh, this has got to be a big deal. And like everything in this film, nope, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know if it doesn't matter. They will have a big fight with Frankenstein
But then they're like, oh, look, the government's not here. They lied to us. So, like, why even have the rule change? Just have the rebels attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a deep movie. I guess the reason why this is confusing to me, and I'll say this only one more time, and I promise never to say it again, is isn't this the experience of the last movie? Isn't that exactly what you felt watching the ramshackle, everything in the kitchen sink approach? I don't feel like this is less organized, more scattered than anything we got that was recommended by all of us last time.
And I think I said something like this already, but maybe I'm damning this film too harshly. We haven't got to the recommend yet. You don't know where it's going.
I think so.
But maybe I'm being hard on this film because it is showing more promise. I think Death Race 2000,
yes.
It's like, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it as well as Roger Corman's going to finance it, and they do.
Right.
This one, like, every once in a while, I'm like, oh, this could be something so much smarter. Oh, but you're not going to be smarter.
I get it. I get that frustration because I have it too. It's just good enough for you to realize it's not very good. Like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, there it is. And you're just not able to make more than a C+ paper. And you could have had a B+ paper. Hell, you could have had a classic if you'd really Tarantino'd it. If you had that kind of mastery with dialogue and understanding B picture genre and playing with that, you could have had a really great time. And I want to stress, I'm defending much about this movie. At no point am I calling anything here great. This is not a great movie. It's just better than its reputation would lead you to believe and any right that it had to be. That's what I keep saying. And yes, it's very handy that the rebels kind of kill themselves. They do this bit where they're chasing after Annie and Frankenstein, and he can do this maneuver. Again, break the fourth wall. He makes a stereotypical, this is a suicide move kind of joke. He's a character that's aware that he's supposed to say Arnold kind of lines. They're able to go up on two wheels and go through a door.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. I think some people fall on those crucifixes that sometimes line highways or what have you. Other people eat knives. And Hamiltina, I don't know, she just blows up. I think her cannon hits a wall and boom.
Right. That's right out of Diamonds Are Forever. If you all the sideways, the car, James Bond kind of move. And that was a CGI car, and that one obviously, and as well it should be. But just to point it out, in James Bond, they did it with a real car. And that was the scene when they magically entered the one from the back on one set of wheels, and somehow they flipped on the other side because they had to redo the stunt to go through on both sides of the tunnel, and they forgot which side the car was leaning on. At least this time, they stayed on the right side of the car. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, listen to our Diamonds Are Forever show, and we'll explain the whole thing there. That was kind of fun for me to see that kind of stunt recreated. That was the driving stuff. There's also the whole thing right around here, Perfectus with the harpoon gun, and the cars are linked, right? And they cut the guy off at the waist. That was a fun kill, even though it was silly looking with the splurting, but it was really kind of a great idea that they clotheslined the guy and he got bisected. There were moments like that here at the climax, which I was enjoying because it had to do with the cars and the driving and the shenanigans. With the Abe exploding with the thing there, it's about the cars and the shenanigans of driving in a race, which this movie did not have enough of for me.
Yeah, maybe this is where those extras were from these final scenes where you actually do get to see racing.
Maybe these final scenes where they actually looked like they were driving and they actually had things on a set and they were actually outside. I have a note here, oh, they're outside finally, because it seemed like they actually were on location for the climax of the movie. Kind of like when we talked about how many movies where they're supposed to be New York, but it's Vancouver, right? So the same kind of thing here is that they did the green screens all those other times so they can spend all their money flying to Peru for 3 days with the cast. Who knows? I don't.
I also want to just say they've done a better job of explaining, not that, it's a movie about internal character motivations, but I actually understand what Frankenstein wants and what Annie wants as they're barreling in here. The love story, if that's what we're going to call it, makes sense. And it's funny that they even have like this moment where he's like, there's this like lump of trash that is like circling like the coast.
This is a real thing. There's a thing the size of Texas in the Pacific.
It is. I know. Exactly. This really happens, that our disposable waste like comes together and forms islands in the ocean, and we could go live on one. You do sense the tongue-in-cheek, the Batman 66 of it all. They're aware that it's silly that we're asking to feel romantic feelings, but I'm totally serious when I say I feel like these characters are better written, and I understand why Frankenstein wants to take down the chairman more than I understood why Carradine wanted to take down the president.
What is his goal? This feels like just very red pill, like people need to get off their butt and learn how to survive on their own again. Like, that's his motivation. Like, look, give me a world where I don't have to work. You're going to have a hard time getting me off my butt and like going back to a job.
It's coming, Jacob. I think that this film has its fingers right on the pulse of a problem we're going to be talking about in 10 years, of what do we do with ourselves? If everything is automated, how do we spend our time? How do we develop purpose? That's subject for other more complicated, smarter movies that this is not. They at least understand that in 2050, we're going to have a lot of people with nothing to do but watch carnage. And yeah, he doesn't want to inspire them to make a better world. He actually just thinks we need to kill everyone off so that we can have a controlled population.
Yeah, I do find the outcome of this revolution kind of funny. Like, this is very satirical, very, maybe more nihilistic than that other film. It's just like, I have freed you, and everyone just, yes, we're all going to be the alpha males now and fight this one guy we've seen in the VR seat throughout the film.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finally goes outside and gets beheaded. Like, I do think it's a pretty good punchline.
Yeah, he finally gets off his butt onto the bike and he dies instantaneously. Yes.
It dies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the VR stuff, they maybe went to that well a couple of times, too many times, but I thought that was a really great idea to add into this movie. I actually enjoyed that very much.
Mm-hmm.
That added definitely a modern sheen to something that's very similar. That's one of the things that they added this time, in addition to the new characters, the VR element, which I thought was really great.
Yes.
Ready Player One was coming out, or right around the same time, right? I believe, around the same time. VR is already in people's homes for video games and things like that. It's a very modern idea for this movie. Yet another thing. Unlike a lot of other concepts that Jacob and I and you are talking about, Stuart, I think the virtual reality concept was fully realized for what they wanted to do here in the movie. I'm not saying they nailed every joke, but at least they understood what they were doing. And same with Abe. That idea was well realized, better than other things they were throwing out here. At least they got those two elements of a bit of a social commentary aspect to it that I thoroughly enjoyed and wish the movie did more on.
And of course, Malcolm McDowell's got to die.
Of course.
If they do nothing else, they're going to put his head on the front of the car and drive it around. That was a given. But yes, to have everyone else. We didn't really understand what the rest of the people that weren't rebels were feeling. To know that everyone had been watching and now was chanting, the thrill of them getting the 1,000 points, unifying them in violence. We think that this is a coming together moment. And then the real joke is that after they take off the helmets, they start killing each other for real in the streets. That this is all some kind of, depopulation plan. You're right. Maybe the most nihilistic of the two movies.
So, Jacob, Stuart, do you recommend Death Race 2050? Jacob.
Talking about this versus Death Race 2000, it reminds me of conversations I have with my wife and kids sometimes when I talk about the music I like and I get into very specific micro genres and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like a grindcore band. And they're like, oh, like this band? I'm like, no, that band is crustcore. Totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, if you say so, I'm like, and to me, it is very different, but I get it. Like,
connoisseur tastes.
You have to train your ear for that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I feel like that's the situation here because here's the thing. I want to praise this film for having some great jokes, some great gags. It tries to expand on the story, fill out that world a bit more on the same, probably very restrictive budget.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's still a Corman production. And so, I feel weird about, damning it. But when it comes down to it, it's just this gut feeling I don't care about the car stuff in here. And that's at least half the fun of Death Race is seeing fun car stuff. The car designs are uninspired to me. I don't remember a lot of the chases except for the end stuff where it seems like they put money into it when Frankenstein is fighting the resistance. The other issue, and it's weird because we're total opposites here, Stuart. You like this Frankenstein. I was going to yell at you. I guess I can't because you like this performance, but I was going to demand you apologize to Dolph Lundgren.
Wow.
For accusing him of dolphing up movies because I felt it here. I'm like, anytime this guy was on screen, I'm like, get him off. He is so uninteresting.
Wow.
I guess here's what it comes down to. If you tell me, hey, you want to see Calamity Jane chase down a matador? Yes. Okay. But the only way you could watch that is if you watch all of Death Race 2000. Great. Put the whole movie on. I will watch it. Hey, you want to watch the Bechdel's bar scene in Death Race 2050? Yes. Okay. But you have to watch this whole film. No, I get too bored during the parts that should be exciting. I wouldn't want to sit through this, but I think there is stuff here. This is on the line, but you're asking me to endorse this film. Do I give it the stamp of approval? And I just can't because it fails at the death racing part of it. It's really bad. So it's going to be a weak not recommend for me, but there is stuff here. You're saying it's a 3 on IMDb. It deserves more than that.
Yeah.
So Stuart, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a bigger defender here throughout. A big portion of my final review last time, when I was trying to summarize Death Race 2000, was I made a comparison to 8-bit video games. That you have to love retro video games to want to play this movie. I was thinking a lot about video games again, watching 2050. You guys, God bless you, are not in the video game retrospective. So
praise Jesus.
Maybe you don't even know what I'm talking about when I bring up Postal, which is a video game made into a movie by Uwe Boll, which is reputedly the worst filmmaker that has ever been.
I remember you liked this one.
Well, it basically tries to do death race satire. The idea in the game and in the movie is a man's going around shooting people in a trailer park for points. And so it has that kind of nihilism to it. Uwe Boll, just talk about no subtlety. There's a man that has no craft for comedy. It is his best film. I did not say it was good. It was a not recommend.
Okay.
I love it.
It is very exhausting.
My memory was you loved it because you said it's his best film.
Well, again, some of this is about understanding sliding scales, right? If your reality is Uwe Boll is pottery, and I don't know who that is as a filmmaker, then you aren't going to appreciate what this movie is doing better than Postal. I have seen clowns attempt this and fail, and it is easier said than done to make a retro punk sound, which is what I guess I would call that original. Like, we're trying to make a sound that was only popular in certain circles at a certain time in the 70s in 2016. And the mimicry that this director is able to do, and the way that he's able to find jokes that are contemporary and yet feel like they work in the same slapdash punk rock way as Death Race 2000 is applaudable. I mean, I think this is still charming, I guess, is the surprise of this movie, is that it still feels like an 8-bit video game programmed in 2016 at a time when nobody's looking to play that style of game anymore. So I definitely think if you want to re-experience Death Race, you can go to this. You really only need to see the first one, honestly, because it's the same thing all over again. But if you want to relive it, if your bloodthirst is unquenched, the surprise is 2050 is good enough to pass the time. It even improves in some of the areas that they couldn't do back in the analog 1976 movie. So yes, there are problems. I won't even say which one is better than the other. They're more or less the same experience for me, which is impressive considering the amount of distance and the difference of creative impulses behind the camera. They've done a really good job of resurrecting Death Race in 2017 as a one-off joke. So it's a mild recommend again.
So, Stuart, you used that word again, and I was going to bring it up in mine. So, my sum up here, and that's the word charming. So, I can see myself one day revisiting Death Race 2000. I can see that. You know, it's a passable time. I found the whole thing endearing and charming in a low-budget kind of way. There were funny jokes I liked, and I enjoyed the car stuff a lot. Here, I like a lot of the gags, did not enjoy the car stuff, thought they had a lot of potential, a lot of things they threw up there that it surprised me. It made me turn my head a little bit, like how clever this movie could be. It's turned my head a little bit. I was really surprised how clever this movie was at times. When I saw those flashes of brilliance, I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And then it just didn't go anywhere, and it was very disappointing. I didn't want to argue with you two about this during the course of this thing, because I do see more of what you're seeing, Stuart. There's some funny stuff here, and there's entertaining things to have happen. But much like a lot of, what was the word you used? Requels? Mm-hmm. Much like many other requels, they're missing that element that made the first one memorable, which made you want to remake the movie to begin with. We've covered a lot of Lego sequels on these programs here at Now Playing. We've covered requels, and if you can capture the lightning in a bottle, well, bravo. This one here, it's not much different than the original, but that charm isn't there. That interest for me isn't there. The racing isn't there. And I guess I don't mind that they remade the movie. And I don't mind they made choices to make it more modern. And some of their ideas were there and noteworthy. But the execution did not pay off for me. And I found it less charming. And I did not enjoy myself as much. I'm not going into this thing looking for The Godfather. I'm not. I'm going in this for a good time. I'm going in to have a good time at the movies.
Yeah.
Hopefully Godfather 3.
Yeah, I mean, but I just did not have fun as much as I did last time. So last time I squeaked by with a green arrow. This time I'm going to go squeaking in with a red arrow. I can't see myself returning to this one, even though it has some really funny gags in it. The first one has more charm to it. Kind of like the Blues Brothers and the Blues Brothers 2000. You've seen the Blues Brothers 2000, and they have some great numbers and great song and dances in that. They really do. Something about that first Blues Brothers, you want to watch that over and over again, but you don't want to watch Blues Brothers 2000 over and over again. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gentlemen, I just want to remind you, we are on a show that is entirely dedicated to watching sequels of movies and watch them get worse.
Yeah, I understand that, Stuart. I remember watching 12 Friday the 13th movies with you, and I recommended some of them deep ones because they were better Friday the 13th movies than earlier ones because they got more of what we wanted back in. I'm hoping that these sequels, or these reboots, or whatever we're going to call them, with Jason Statham and company,
It's a full reboot. It's totally different.
Okay, totally different. They're going to have elements of what I liked in the first movie. They're going to have funny gags. Maybe they'll take it more seriously. Maybe more Hunger Games. I'm going to find out with you two. I have no idea. But I'm hoping that they take the idea of the first movie, and what this movie failed to do with all their great ideas was make me engaged and enjoy what I'm watching. And I hope that those sequels can do that, Stuart.
Well, here's the good news is that this is the end of this. This is the reason why we jumped ahead in time to cover this one before we went to the 2008 remake. And that is because this is the only one that tried to recapture the spirit of Corman's original and call it a sequel or a redo or a requel. I don't need another of that. They have done the sweeted version of the 1970s B movie. And now we can, again, I want to stress, you could take all of the elements that were in that Corman original and then make like a really good movie instead of just a silly movie.
Yes.
Yeah, my memory of the 2008 one, it's much more Mad Max than the Roger Corman stuff.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's grittier. It's much more of an action film.
Yeah, that is what we are covering next. And from that point on, even though some of these movies came out chronologically before Death Race 2050, they are all within the universe that Statham is starting with Death Race. From now on, there will be no more years in the title. It's just Death Race 1, 2, 3, and 4.
There are some subtitles, like Anarchy, I think, is in there.
Yeah, there's no year title, is my point. We don't have to keep, like, is it 2036 or 43 or...
Yeah, I gotcha.
My history's not so good.
And Stuart, I haven't seen these movies yet. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's a good idea. I think if you have the concept and then it's 2008, how about we do something different with it? I'm willing for that. I'm willing to go along for that ride. And I can't wait to do it. I'm looking forward. I'm glad to hear you say that.
In the meantime, if you need something else to hear, we've got Gina Davis becoming this the first time that we had a woman step into the buddy cop of Shane Black. She and Sam Jackson, I don't know. I think the premise is she's a school teacher that finds out she's an assassin. It's like a La Femme Nikita remake, but by Shane Black.
Yeah, I've seen this one. There's some great lines. They're awful, but they're great.
Yeah, there's that really great cheesiness to those lines in that movie that makes it like a real, like...
Yes.
People love it or hate it, and it's a perfect now playing movie for us to talk about. I'm looking forward to hearing the review. I'm looking forward to revisiting The Long Kiss Goodnight. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yep, I have never seen it, so I'll find out what I'm talking about this Friday.
Oh, yeah, you're going to like that one.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm not really sure if you're going to like it, but I'm looking forward to hearing what your impressions are of that. And so you and I and Jacob will get back to the starting line on our next podcast. Damn, I love this game.
Well, America, there you have it.
Thank you for listening to this Now Playing Podcast movie review.
My pleasure.
Support from listeners like you keeps Now Playing Podcast on the air.
What'd you expect? Another pretty face?
You can donate directly by tapping the support button at nowplayingpodcast.com.
It's time for action.
You can also compare notes with us on Letterboxd. Go to letterboxd.com/nowplaying to see what our hosts are watching when we're not recording podcasts. And follow Now Playing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel.
Why can't they see me as I see myself? A kind, gentle soul imprisoned by abs of steel.
Now Playing Podcast is produced by Arnie Carvalho.
He moves them, inspires them.
Associate produced by Jason Latham.
You're very good at what you do, and I'm very good at what I do.
Now Playing is edited by Heath, Santiago, and Arnie.
Took the best, made it better.
Now Playing credits read by Brock.
I swear by St. Dwayne the Rock Johnson, I will slap that sinful tramp!
The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the views of Venganza Media Incorporated.
If you want to drive again next year, Mr. Viterbo, you'll keep those opinions to yourself.
Venganza Media Incorporated is not affiliated with, and this podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by any entity that created the film analyzed herein.
Don't talk to the other drivers. Frank never did. Part of the mystique. Let the mask do the work.
All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review, and no infringement is intended.
You got that right.
Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2024, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated. All rights reserved.
Good night, Mr. Frankenstein.